Welcome back to another segment of Behind the Scenes of the Waltons. Happy New Year, everyone, and welcome to 2026. Hard to think when we look back at the beginning of the Waltons, 1971, and the series in 1972, that here we are all these years later and still celebrating everything that this show represents. So thank you for joining me, and I hope you are also looking forward to a year ahead of more of Behind the Scenes of the Waltons. If you do enjoy these segments, please do hit like and subscribe. And I'm hoping that sometime early in 2026, I will top the 100,000 subscribers. So if you want to help share this and encourage others to subscribe so we can make this happen faster, that would be great. And that would be perhaps one of my New Year's wishes. I thought for New Year's, I would kind of take a look back, first of all, at some of the highlights of 2025, both in my life and in my YouTube channel and for the Waltons. So in February, I attended the Women's Working Show with Mary McDonough and Cami Kotler back just outside of St. Louis. And we had a wonderful weekend, got to meet a lot of Walton fans and do some meet and greets and some Q&A sessions. And so that was a great experience, and to spend that weekend with my wonderful TV sisters. At the end of April, beginning of May, I went to Europe with my husband. And first of all, we met up in Munich, Germany with John Walmsley and his wife Marion and Eric Scott and his wife Cindy. And we spent a day wandering around Munich, and Marion, who is from Germany, from the Bavaria area of Germany, gave us a little bit of a tour and was able to fill us in on things. And back in about 2003, I think it was, the local classic TV channel in Germany had brought the Walton cast over because they were going to relaunch the Waltons in syndication. So we did a little bit of a press tour for the better part of a week, I think, over there. And that was when John first met Marion, because she worked for that cable channel, Kabelance. And so she took us back around and said, "Oh, remember we did this here and this here." And I didn't remember the details of where we were, but it was wonderful to have that little look back. And then after that, Eric and Cindy and Bob and I went up to Budapest, where we boarded a sort of a river cruise boat and spent a week on a riverboat cruise with them. And I had done a segment about that when I returned from that trip and shared some of the highlights of that trip, which was wonderful. And to get to travel with my husband and Eric and Cindy and just do things as people. It wasn't a working trip. And although we got recognized, a couple times, pretty much we were just able to enjoy our vacation. And so those are always very special times. So that was a highlight of the year for sure. Then I believe it was June of 2025, we did the Hollywood show in Hollywood. So basically in Burbank, California. And for that, Richard Thomas, Micheal Learned, David Harper, Mary McDonough, Eric Scott, Cami Kotler, and I were all present as part of the Waltons. And then there were actors from all kinds of other shows as well who attended that. And it was an opportunity again for fans and viewers to come through and meet us, have things signed, get pictures taken. And we did do sort of a panel discussion for the audience as well. And there was a photo booth, so we took pictures as a cast with a lot of people. So once again, great to spend a couple of days with my TV family. Richard was on tour for most of the year. I had a chance at some point to catch him in To Kill a Mockingbird, in which he was absolutely wonderful. I know a lot of you reached out to tell me that you had a chance to see him also. And then this past year, he started touring in the one-man show Mark Twain that was originated by Hal Holbrook. And so my husband and I had a chance to go out to catch him actually in Modesto, California, and see him do the Mark Twain show and have a chance just very briefly to say hello to him, give him a hug and a kiss, and send him on his way because he had a red-eye flight back to New York to do something the next day. So although it was brief, always wonderful. I also had a chance to go down to LA a couple times. And at one point when I went down there, I stayed with Leslie Winston, who played Ben's wife, Cindy, on TV. So Eric is married to a Cindy in real life, and then on the show, Ben was married to a Cindy. So his TV wife, Leslie Winston, it's always a treat when I get to stay with her because we're such good friends and we just get to be girls. And we went shopping and we met up with Eric and his wife, Cindy, and went to a Dodgers game. And so that's something that we all enjoy sharing together, and then some dinners and stuff. So a great trip visiting with her. Unfortunately, there were also some sad times in this past year. We lost a number of people. We lost Jean Marsh, who played Hilary von Kleist in the season 5 episode The Hiding Place. She was a cousin of the Baldwins. And then we lost Sean Barbara Allen, who played Jenny Pendleton in both The Love Story and The Thanksgiving Story. And I know a lot of you have said that she was your favorite girlfriend of John Boy's, and you really wish that the two of them had ended up together. So very sad to lose Sean as well. And then in real life, we lost Micheal Learned's husband, her real life husband, John. And so I went down to LA and with Leslie and Eric and his wife Cindy and others, we attended the funeral for John, the service. So very sad, but it was glad that we were able to be there to show our support of Micheal and also how much we all loved John as well. And then we lost Lynn Hamilton, who played Verdie Grant, later Verdie Foster. I had had a phone call from David letting me know Lynn had passed, and then I'd had a call from Hal Williams because he stayed very close to Lynn throughout her life. It was sad to lose Lynn. And then David came on. I think a lot of you saw the segment where David wanted to share a segment talking about what Lynn meant to him. And so we did that together. And I know a lot of you had a chance to see that. And it was very touching to hear David's comments because he had stayed in touch with Lynn and she had meant a lot to him, as she did to all of us on the cast. And then towards the end of the year, we also lost director Ralph Sinensky at 102 and a half. And of course, he had been a special guest of mine a number of times and did segments talking about episodes of the Waltons that he had directed, including some really standout ones like The Firestorm and Grandma Comes Home and The Pony Cart with Beulah Bondi and The Conflict that first introduced the character of Martha Corinne, played by Beulah Bondi, and The Grandchild. So some of these really significant episodes on the Waltons he had directed. And he had also shared about his longtime career in Hollywood, starting in about the 40s and 50s, and all the television that he directed, including the original series of Star Trek and things like Route 66, Naked City, Mission Impossible, just on and on and on. And then I was fortunate enough to have him join me for 2 final segments shortly before he died, with episodes he particularly wanted to talk about. One was a Dr. Kildare episode, and the other was from another show, Breaking Point. And so those meant a lot to him, and I was happy to provide a platform for him to be able to share those stories. And then I hadn't had a chance to even get them edited and put up for viewing before he passed away. Fortunately, I was also able to attend his funeral service, and it was very touching to hear what his family and friends had to say about him and what he meant to them in their lives personally beyond his amazing career. And so then subsequently those 2 segments have been posted. So it was a privilege to get to share so much of his amazing history and his amazing memory of everything that he had done. So if you haven't caught those, please try to. They're really quite wonderful. For me, one of the fun things this year, I've talked about how much horses, riding and jumping and competing and stuff has been a part of my life. And in the most recent years, I've been doing more of that because I've had a bit more free time now that, I'm not working full time. I kind of work when I want to or when things appeal to me. And of course, my YouTube channel takes up an awful lot of hours in the week, in the month, in the year. But on the horse front, I made a choice and switched horses this year. So my previous horse, Maya, is currently for sale, and I have acquired a new horse, Kazi, who is an 8-year-old thoroughbred. And I, shortly after starting to ride him, I competed in 3 different horse shows. I took 2 seconds and a first. So I did share, I think, a picture of me at a Halloween-themed show where I sort of had a steampunk costume, and poor Kazi got a little steampunk hat between his ears and was very tolerant of that jingling and hitting his ears. And but he's such a good boy, and it's been a pleasure getting to know him and competing with him. So that's been just fun on a personal front. On the singing front, I also had a chance to sing with a large brass band for a couple of concerts, and then decided to put together a local sort of holiday show concert with some fellow very talented performers. So we did a couple of holiday concerts and had a chance to share the music of the season and the spirit of the season with the local community. As for my YouTube channel, I took a look back and I did 121 segments last year that I posted. About 23 were about episodes. 35 were segments of Ask Judy, where I answered your questions. And I also did birthday tributes. I did special subjects about holidays and actors and stories from and about Hollywood and its history with John Dayton and Ralph Sinensky. I had special guests from the Waltons, like Robert Woods, who played David Spencer, and Leslie Winston, who played Cindy Walton, and Tony Becker, who played Drew Cutler. And I even branched out a little bit and had Patrick Laberteau from Little House on the Prairie came and joined me for a couple of segments. So I might do more of that in the new year. As for what's ahead in 2026, well, for now, my plan is to continue creating these segments for you. We also have a live Walton event coming up in May in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. It'll be a Walton weekend in the Smokeys, which is going to be the middle of May. And I'm putting up that link to the website here on the screen where you can find out more information about tickets and the weekend. We'll be doing meet and greets. We'll be signing things and taking pictures and just having a chance to meet with whoever is able to make it out there to visit with us. So far, I am coming. Eric Scott, who played Ben, Mary McDonough, who played Erin, Cammie Kotler, who played Elizabeth, and Leslie Winston, who played Cindy Walton, Ben's wife. So I hope some of you will be able to come out and join us for that. On my channel, I plan to hopefully finish up the episodes of season 9 that I haven't covered, and more of your questions with Ask Judy segments, more special topics, who knows what those will be, and maybe some more in-depth segments about various different actors who were on the Waltons, and hopefully some more special guests from the Waltons and beyond. Thank you for joining me for this look back at 2025 and a look ahead to what's coming up in 2026. And I look forward to seeing you next time for more behind the scenes of the Waltons. Thanks for watching.